How Vito Genovese became the most powerful mobster in America before inadvertently crippling the mafia itself. Vito Genovese rose through the ranks of the New York mob during Prohibition and eventually killed his way to the top of the city's most powerful crime family before a few crucial blunders took him down. For decades, Vito Genovese was practically synonymous with the American Mafia itself. Born in rural Italy at the tail end of the 1800s, he immigrated to New York City as a teenager and shaped its criminal elements as a young man. After killing his way to the top, he not only controlled organized crime but helped shape its modern hierarchies. While loyalty was the purported core of the Mafia, Genovese had an advantage. With no allegiance to the old ways, he and his generation slaughtered their way into power and then fought each other to retain it, from surviving the Castellammarese War to his exile in Italy. In today's episode, we examine Genovese's life as it was indeed one for the history books. The swift rise of Vito Genovese in the Mafia. Vito Genovese was born on November 21, 1897, in the town of Tufino in Naples, Italy. He and his sister Giovanna Jenny and brothers Michael and Carmine were raised in the subdivision of Risigliano. He was 15 years old when his father, Frances Felice Genovese, and his mother, Nunziata Alotto, prepared for their immigration to America. Arriving in New York City aboard the SS Taormina in 1913, the family moved into an apartment in Little Italy. With a 5th grade reading level and scarce provision, Genovese spent his days on petty thefts and debt collections for mobsters, according to American Mafia history. He was first arrested at 19 and served 1 year in prison for possessing a firearm. When Genovese met Charles Lucky Luciano around the neighborhood, he rapidly became his right-hand man. The fledgling mobster made Genovese his most reliable hitman and enforcer. Genovese garnered an impressive reputation in the criminal underworld and rose in the ranks as Luciano amassed more power. While his career in the Mafia had already begun, Vito Genovese was officially inducted into organized crime during the Prohibition era of the 1920s. Hired by Giuseppe or Joe the Boss Mazzeria, he and Luciano became his top lieutenants. While Genovese didn't know it yet, he was now working for the crime family that he would later lead and rename after himself. Meanwhile, Luciano began bootlegging for gambler Arnold Ronstein and decided to start his own smuggling operation with Genovese and Frank Costello. In 1930, Genovese was charged with counterfeiting as police found $1 million in fake currency in his Brooklyn warehouse. Things dramatically escalated within a month. Mazzeria was enraged to learn that Bronx-based mobster Tommy Reina had conspired with his longtime rival Salvatore Maranzano. Mazzeria had Genovese murder Reina with a shotgun on February 26, 1930. While he was now in control of the Reina gang, Mazzeria had also sparked the bloody 14-month Castellammarese War. How Vito Genovese survived the Castellammarese War. Named after Salvatore Maranzano's birthplace, Castellamare del Golfo, the Castellammarese War saw him square off with Joe Mazzeria for territory and control. All revenue sources were in jeopardy, from illegal gambling and bootlegging to drug trafficking and prostitution. The relentless bloodshed didn't cease until April 15, 1931. According to Carl Sifaki's book, The Mafia Encyclopedia, the war was a battle between the traditional methods of longtime mobsters and the non-holds-barred perspectives of its newcomers. Young Lucky, Luciano, and Vito Genovese thus felt little loyalty to their aging boss and killed him at Coney Island's Nuova Fila Tamaro restaurant. When Maranzano approached Luciano to kill Joe Mazzeria, Luciano swore his allegiance to him and agreed to the heat on the condition that he'd be awarded control of Mazzeria's rackets. So Luciano lured Mazzeria to the restaurant on April 15, 1931. According to National Crime Syndicate, Luciano excused himself for the restroom as Genovese, Albert Anastasia, Benjamin Boxy Shigel, and Joe Adonis shot Mazzeria to death. Little did Maranzano know that Luciano had lied and he was next on Luciano's hit list. But Maranzano was suspicious, so he summoned Genovese, Luciano, and Costello to his office on September 10, 1931 under the guise of a business meeting. However, the trio had gotten wind of the fact that they were about to be killed, so instead they got the drop on Maranzano by deploying 4 gunmen to his office and murdering him. In control of all organized crime in New York, Luciano devised a governing body known as the Commission, and created the 5 families of the American Mafia, with his newly christened Luciano family as the largest. And as Lucky Luciano's newfound underboss, Vito Genovese, was so untouchable that he killed a man named Gerard Venotico simply because he wanted to marry his wife. In 1934, Genovese and fellow mobster Ferdinand Borgia cheated a gambler out of $150,000. When Borgia demanded a larger share than agreed upon, Genovese murdered him at a coffee shop on September 19th, as reported by the New York Times. Then, when Luciano was convicted for prostitution rackets in 1936, Vito Genovese became the acting boss. How his ambition brought the mafia down. Vito Genovese's time as boss of the Luciano crime family was brief. However, because he was determined to avoid an indictment for murdering Borgia, he fled to Italy in 1937, naming Frank Costello acting boss in his stead. In Italy, Genovese mingled with local dons, extorted the local rackets, and even befriended Benito Mussolini. In 1943, he ordered the murder of journalist Carlo Tresca for his anti-Mussolini coverage. While Genovese appeared to help the Allied war effort when they invaded Italy, he was also arrested by the US military police for establishing black market operations that robbed the army of resources in 1944, according to the Crime Museum. And when it was discovered that he was wanted for murder in the US, he was extradited on June 1, 1945. With a not guilty plea and 2 prosecutorial witnesses found dead, Genovese was not only free to leave, but now back in New York. His former partners were hesitant to relinquish their positions, however. In 1957, he failed to kill Costello, Luciano's acting boss, but pushed him to retire. He then had Anastasia murdered. As the newfound leader of the gang, he renamed it the Genovese family. Then, Vito Genovese convened a conference on November 14th in Appalachian, New York, that later became known simply as the Appalachian Meeting. Raided by police, mobsters from all corners of the country were arrested or successfully fled. Genovese was let go by simply claiming he was there for a barbecue. While Genovese was convicted for conspiracy to violate federal narcotics law on April 17, 1959, some have valid questions. NYPD Detective Ralph Salerno said, "Anyone who understands the protocol and installation procedures would find the notion that Genovese personally handled drug deals almost unbelievable." In the end, Vito Genovese continued to run his business from behind bars. From ordering murders of competing mobsters to those he deemed informants, Genovese stayed in charge until he died of a heart attack on February 14, 1969, while incarcerated at the U.S. Medical Center for Federal Prisons in Springfield, Missouri. Thanks for watching this video, and do not forget to like, share, and also subscribe to our channel for more informative content.